Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission's regular meeting for July 24th, 2023. This time we'll move to roll call. Commissioner Rasmussen.
Commissioner Britton.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Chair Frazier.
Here.
Commissioner Knable. Here. Commissioner Rasmussen. Here. Commissioner Stevens.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3 on tonight's agenda is approval of the agenda. Unless there is a motion to amend, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 4 on tonight's agenda is open forum. If there's anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on something that's not on tonight's agenda, you can approach the podium, state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll close open forum. Item 5 tonight is Chair's explanation of the hearing process. The Planning Commission is a volunteer advisory group to City Council. One of the Commission's functions is to hold public hearings and make recommendations on land use and zoning matters. The purpose of these public hearings is to provide an opportunity for each applicant and citizens to present information, ask questions, and express opinions. Since these proceedings are televised and recorded for the public record, anyone wishing to speak must step up to the podium and give their name and address before addressing the Commission. Staff reports are prepared and provided to the applicant and Planning Commission in advance of the meeting. The first step in the hearing will be for staff to present a summary of the report. The applicant will then have the opportunity to briefly explain the proposal and provide additional information or comments. Anyone wanting to speak in favor or against the proposal will then be heard. Upon completion of the testimony, the hearing will be closed to the public comment. Planning Commission will then discuss and act on the matter. 2 complete agenda packets are available for viewing on the back table. Please do not remove those items. The City Council will act on these items at their meeting on Wednesday, August 16th, 2023, which starts at 7 p.m. With that, we will move on to item 6. 6.1 is the zoning definition text amendment, case TA 2023-014, with Connor Jakes presenting.
All right, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. It's great to be with you. The application before you tonight is a zoning definition text amendment to City Code Title 1113, which is the definition section of the zoning code. Specific definition before you is the agricultural use definition. Staff is specifically proposing to delete bees and honey from this definition. Little background on the proposal tonight. The city's 2040 comprehensive plan does state that the city should investigate the policy and ordinance opportunities for residential animal keeping, such as chicken and bees, to promote healthy food at home. You recall in 2022, the City Council did approve an ordinance that allowed chicken and ducks keeping throughout the city on residential properties, which made great strides towards the achievement of this goal. City Council recently directed staff to conduct further research on ordinance relating to beekeeping throughout the city. In order to adopt a specific ordinance on beekeeping, the agricultural use definition would need to be updated to remove bees, so there's no contradictions there. And I would note that a specific beekeeping ordinance would be added to Title 5.4 Animal Control, which is where all of our specific animal-related ordinances are placed and where the recent chicken and duck ordinance was placed. And then I just remind the Planning Commission that the Council exercises authority over Title 5, and the Planning Commission's purview is Title 11. So that's why the text amendment is the only item before you tonight and not the whole beekeeping ordinance. So the proposal before you tonight is to delete bees and honey from that definition. You'll also note on the screen before you there's chickens, ducks, and eggs also highlighted for removal. That's in order to remove the contradictions that currently exist in order to better align with the adopted ordinance for chicken and ducks in 2022. And so with that, there's an amended recommendation on screen before you that's different than what was in your packet due to the addition of the removal of chicken, ducks, and eggs from the agricultural use definition. With that, staff is available for any questions, and I'll leave the recommendation on slide before you.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Thank you. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Britton.
Does staff feel that there's any need to maintain a certain something in agricultural with respect to chickens and eggs in regard to if they exceed a certain number? So somebody wanted to do agriculture, is the new ordinance going to handle agricultural and residential uses?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Britton, the previously adopted chicken ordinance does address both residential and agricultural. Also note, we do have a section in the zoning code for farming operations in both agricultural and residential districts that would cover, both of those areas too.
And then there wouldn't be a conflict in that you needed to change the other ones?
Correct, yep, yeah, just a cleanup here to remove
Okay, thank you.
chicken, ducks, and eggs.
Thank you. Any other
have a
question?
question.
Commissioner Fisher?
Is there an ordinance already written to talk about the
Yeah,
bees?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Fisher, there is an ordinance being written with the city attorney currently that would be for review at the August 16th council meeting before the council.
Okay.
I have a question.
Commissioner Knable?
Does this grandfather in any current beekeepers in the city? Or how does that work if you already have bees on your property?
Yeah, Commissioner Knable, as far to our knowledge, there's no beekeeping currently within the city. However, that'd be addressed, as we move forward and kind of enact this. I'd imagine that we work through that process at that point and look into whether it's legal, non-conforming, et cetera, and work through that with the attorney as well.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Stevens?
So is this going to be more restrictive or more like allowing of beekeeping?
Yeah, Commissioner Stevens, the current intent is to allow them both in residential and agricultural districts. There's proposed to be constraints on the number of colonies, which dictates the number of bees you can have, and also limits on certain residential zoning districts. So it'd just be single-family lots, R1 through R4, and then that would limit where they're allowed. And there'd be additional setbacks on the colony location as well.
Okay, and can you just explain, so we're only approving it to be removed because it's going where, that we're not, like,
Yep, yeah, so Commissioner Stevens, the proposed ordinance in full would be placed in Title V, which is under the authority of the City Council. That would be the acting body on that. And the Planning Commission's purview is within Title XI, which is where the current definition is. So the text amendment is before you tonight to delete bees from that, since the Planning Commission exercises or has recommendation authority within Title XI. So it'd be removing the definition from there and then moving that to Title V.
thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one more question.
Commissioner
Did
Fisher?
something happen to, what was the catalyst for the bee editing here? It
Yeah,
seems kind
Commissioner-
of like a random thing for us to be looking at.
Yeah, Commissioner Fisher, I think it was maybe a month or so ago, City Council directed staff, there's interest from the public at one of the council meetings, and council directed staff to conduct further research on whether it's plausible for bees to be within residential areas, agricultural, et cetera. So staff's been conducting research on that and working with the attorney on a proposed ordinance that would be before council.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Connor, I just want to clarify so that everyone who's watching and who's here right now understands. So right now, the zoning amendment or the zoning statute as it is, ordinance, prevents anybody from keeping bees in residential areas.
That's partly correct. It'd be any property over 5 acres
Okay.
in residential and A.
That's right.
Yep.
And so by removing this, city council will then be able to pass an ordinance that they can regulate who can keep them, but will kind of give greater access to people in the city to keep bees if they have less than 5 acres.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's correct. And then I'd also just note there'd be a permit licensing process that would be issued through the city clerk's office, similar to the chicken and duck
right.
process there.
Thank you. Does that raise any other questions? All right, thank you. The city is the applicant, so I won't ask the applicant if they have anything. At this time, I'll open public hearing, though. Seeing no takers, I'll close public hearing. Any further discussion from commission? I'll just say this, I'll be interested to see what the ordinance looks like, because I know my wife is one of these people who would like to keep bees, and she was always very upset that we couldn't do that, so we'll see how it pans out.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Bees.
Exactly. All right, any further discussion? Otherwise, I'd look for a motion.
I'll motion to approve it.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Stevens. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Knable. Any further discussion on the motion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 6.2 is Water Resource Chapter Comp Plan Amendment, case CP 2023-015, with Mike Rosla presenting.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The City of Cottage Grove is proposing an amendment to the 2040 Comprehensive Plan to update the Water Resources Chapter, which is Chapter 7, specifically the sanitary sewer part of that chapter. The image on the right side of your screen is the existing 2040 Comprehensive Plan sanitary sewer plan. And background, Comprehensive Plan has it's our guiding document. It has our land use in there. It has our utility plan, our transportation plan. It all lives in this one giant document. And this all comes back to a project that was approved by council a couple months ago, Ravine Crossing, which is located at the intersection of Keats and 90th Street. As part of their permit to start grading on site, they were required to go to the Metropolitan Council and get a sanitary sewer extension permit. And when they applied for that, it was brought to our attention that the map in the comprehensive plan is not correct. That does not show a point in front of the said parcel as shown on the screen here. So they're requesting staff to update the comprehensive plan accordingly. It's worth knowing that the connection points are previously made. They're all identified. They're just not shown in the map. There's stubs out there. They're all over the place. So they requested us to update our map. They did approve the project and the permit, but they said, hey, we'll work with you and we'll update it. So as part of this project, as you can see on the next slide here, the 2030 plan's on the left, and on the right's a new one, the revised, updated map. There's over 15 connection points added to it. And then there's also a bunch of other proposed lines to provide services in the future to areas that are developing. It's also worth noting too that the image on the right here does have a stub, right, connecting right to the Ravine Crossing project. So we addressed their concern and are moving this forward through the approval process. This also required some text amendments too, as you sign your packets, some minor word changes. You know, there's 5 currently and there's 15 proposed. And some other tables that were included within your packets. I'm not gonna go through all those. Our engineering staff is here if you have any questions specifically onto the tables. And this is more just an administrative process here to kind of get this RMAT updated and making everyone happy. And the recommendations on the screen, I'm here for any questions, and so is our engineering staff.
All right, thank you. Any questions for staff? Commissioner Rasmussen.
Real quick, just looking at the two maps, I see the new connection points, which they were asking for. What is in green? Is that future? Is that what you're showing there?
That is correct, Commissioner. That was the future sanitary pipelines.
Any additional questions? All right, thank you. Again, the city is the applicant, so I won't ask the applicant to make any comments, but I will open public hearing on this application. And seeing none, I'll close public hearing. Any further discussion from commission? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve. I'll just say that.
All right, I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Fisher. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rasmussen. Any further discussion on the motion? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 7 tonight is approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes from June 26, 2023. Unless there's any additions or corrections, I'd look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve from Commissioner Knable. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Rasmussen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 6-0. Item 8 is reports from Emily Schmitz.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. First thing I'd like to mention this evening is Riley doesn't know that I'm doing this, but I'd like to welcome Riley Rooney to our community development team. If her face looks familiar, it's because she was here with us last summer as our planning intern. As fate would have it, we had some adjustment in our staffing, and so we were able to open an associate planner position. And Riley so kindly was interested to come back and be a part of our team. So I just wanted to welcome Riley. I'm not going to ask her to say anything, but I wanted you all to know who that new face was in the audience. Since our last meeting, we've had only one city council meeting, July 19th, which if you recall, our last planning commission meeting was quite heavy, so the council meeting was also a little bit heavy as we evaluated all of our planning cases from that previous meeting. So the first was the shed setback variance, which was approved. The other one I'll note is the Graymont Village final plat was reviewed and approved in addition to, there was an easement vacation. For those of you who might recall, if you remember North Point and there was a Julene plat, if that name sounds familiar, to get some 105th right-of-way. As they platted that, there was a standard perimeter easement that had to be vacated in order for the final plat of Graymont Village to be recorded. So that was approved that evening as well. And then the other three items, the Trellis Senior Housing Project over across from the old City Hall was approved. Hohenstein Distribution over on 95th and Jamaica was approved. And then Chase Bank with the drive-through over there between Culver's and US Bank was also approved. So that was the agenda, but of course, Councilmember Kambata is here if he has anything to add or if you have specific questions for him as well.
Thank you again for all your hard work. I know that this was a super packed meeting. It's always nice to have an easy one, especially after some of the longer meetings we've had. So again, the council appreciates all your guys' hard work. We know that this is time and effort out of your day. So thank you again for everything that you do. And I'm available for any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Emily or Councilmember Kambata? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't know any responses to inquiries. Do we have any planning commission inquiries for this meeting? Seeing none. We'll move on to item 9, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Rasmussen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Britton. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Motion passes. We are adjourned 6-0.